This looks like a normal RV until you realize it has 6 wheels and can go places most vehicles can't survive. It's not made for short trips, weekend parking spots, or neat rows of RVs plugged into power lines. This is built for the edge of the map, the kind of places where roads disappear, where terrain turns unpredictable, and where turning back isn't always an option. Because the 2026 Toyota EMBERHORN 6x6 isn't trying to be a traditional motorhome. It's trying to be something far more capable. And the moment you see it, that becomes obvious. It doesn't look like an RV. It looks like a machine built for survival. The stance is wider, heavier, more planted. And then you notice the 6 wheels, not for attention, but for purpose. This is a vehicle built with one idea in mind. Go anywhere and stay there. Because unlike most motorhomes that are designed around movement, this one is designed around independence. It's not just about getting somewhere. It's about reaching a place where nothing exists around you and still having everything you need. And that idea starts with the exterior. The design doesn't try to soften itself. It doesn't hide its size or make itself feel friendly. Instead, it leans into a bold, almost military-inspired look. The body panels feel armored, built to take impact rather than avoid it. The front carries serious presence. Heavy-duty bumpers, reinforced edges, integrated lighting that actually serves a purpose in low-visibility environments. On top, roof racks stretch across the entire structure, ready for extra gear, supplies, or long-haul equipment. And everything feels like one unit. That's what stands out the most. This doesn't look like a truck with a box attached. The cab and living space are fully integrated, giving it a unified, purpose-built design. It feels balanced, stable, like it belongs off-road more than on it. And then there's the 6-wheel setup. This is where things move from impressive to extreme. Adding a 3rd axle completely changes how the vehicle behaves. Weight is spread more evenly, traction increases, and stability improves in ways a normal 4x4 simply can't match. Think about loose sand, deep mud, or uneven rock paths. In most vehicles, that's where traction breaks down. But with 6 driven wheels, there's always another point gripping the ground, always another source of control. And that creates something incredibly important: confidence. Because in remote environments, confidence isn't optional. You need to trust that your vehicle can handle what's ahead, even when you don't fully know what's coming. And that's exactly what this machine is built for. But then, everything changes when you step inside. Because the interior feels like a completely different world. You go from rugged, aggressive design to something calm, controlled, and actually comfortable to live in. The layout flows naturally from the driver's area into the living space, without feeling cramped or forced. Everything feels intentional. The materials lean toward darker tones with warmer accents, creating a space that feels premium without being delicate. It's durable enough for real use, but comfortable enough to live in for extended periods. Because that's the key difference here. This isn't built for one night, it's built for staying. The living area reflects that. A proper seating space, a usable dining setup, enough room to actually spend time without feeling restricted. It feels closer to a compact apartment than a traditional RV. The kitchen follows the same idea: clean, functional, and designed for daily use. There's enough counter space to actually prepare meals, integrated storage that makes sense, and a layout that doesn't feel like a compromise. And then there's the bed, not something you fold out every night, but a fixed sleeping space, a consistent, comfortable area that feels separate enough to actually rest properly. It's a small detail, but it completely changes the experience of living inside the vehicle. The bathroom is compact but complete, a proper shower, sink, and toilet, everything you need to stay fully self-sufficient without relying on anything outside. And that word, self-sufficient, is really what defines this entire machine. Because the EMBERHORN isn't built around convenience, it's built around independence, the ability to go somewhere remote and stay there. But all of this only matters if the machine behind it can actually perform. Because when you build something this large, this heavy, and this ambitious, capability isn't optional. It's everything. And this is where everything comes down to one question. Can something this big actually perform the way it promises to? Because it's easy to make something look capable. It's easy to design something that feels powerful on the outside. But when you take a machine like this into real terrain, loose sand, steep climbs, uneven rock paths, none of that matters unless the performance backs it up. And that's exactly where the EMBERHORN starts to separate itself. While Toyota hasn't officially confirmed every spec, everything points toward a high-torque diesel or hybrid-assisted powertrain. Not something built for speed, not something designed to be flashy, but something engineered for endurance. Because in a vehicle like this, speed doesn't matter. Torque does. The ability to move weight, the ability to climb without strain, the ability to keep going for long distances without feeling like the machine is being pushed to its limits. That's what defines real performance in this category. And paired with that power is the system that makes it all work, the six-wheel drive. This isn't just a visual feature, it's the core of how this vehicle operates. Power isn't sent to just one axle or even two. It's distributed across all three, which means every section of the vehicle is actively working to maintain traction. Picture driving through deep sand. In a normal vehicle, the front wheels might dig in, the rear might struggle, and momentum becomes unpredictable. But here, with 6 points constantly finding grip, the vehicle keeps moving forward in a way that feels controlled, almost effortless. The same applies to mud, snow, or uneven terrain where the ground shifts under you. Even if one wheel loses contact, there are still multiple others maintaining stability. And that's what gives the EMBERHORN its biggest advantage. It doesn't just handle difficult terrain, it removes the fear of it, and that's a completely different experience. But performance isn't just about moving forward, it's also about control. Because when you're driving something this large across unpredictable environments, the suspension becomes just as important as the engine. And here the expectation is clear. This system is built to absorb impact without losing stability. Rocks, dips, uneven surfaces. Instead of transferring all that movement into the cabin, the suspension works to smooth it out. Not in a soft luxury car way, but in a controlled, stable way that keeps everything balanced. So even when the terrain gets rough, the vehicle stays composed. And that's what allows everything else to work. Because once you combine power, traction, and control, you get something that actually feels usable in extreme conditions. And then there's the technology, because this isn't just a mechanical machine anymore. It's a fully integrated system designed for independence. Up front, the cockpit is expected to follow Toyota's modern approach. A large central display, digital instrument cluster, and navigation systems that go beyond simple directions. We're talking about mapping that can handle off-road routes, terrain awareness, and long-distance expedition planning. But the real technology shows up in the living systems. This is where the EMBERHORN becomes something more than just a vehicle. Power management systems monitor everything happening inside. Battery levels, energy consumption, system efficiency, all controlled from a central interface. Climate control keeps the interior stable regardless of external conditions, whether you're in extreme heat or freezing environments. And then there's the biggest advantage of all, off-grid capability. Solar integration, large battery banks, and intelligent energy distribution mean you're not relying on external power sources. You're not planning your journey around campsites or charging points. You just go. And that changes the entire experience of travel, because now your limitations aren't defined by infrastructure. They're defined by how far you're willing to push. Of course, with something this large and powerful, safety becomes critical. And this is where Toyota's reputation plays a major role. A reinforced chassis ensures structural stability. Heavy-duty braking systems are designed to handle the weight without compromise. Advanced traction control systems work alongside the six-wheel setup to keep everything predictable, even in difficult conditions. And on top of that, modern driver assistance features, adaptive cruise control, lane monitoring, surround view cameras make a vehicle of this size far more manageable than you'd expect. Even in tighter environments, even when visibility becomes a challenge. But eventually, everything leads to one question. What does something like this actually cost? And the reality is, this isn't cheap. While there's no official number yet, estimates place it deep into the six-figure range. And that makes sense, because this isn't competing with standard RVs. It's in a completely different category. You're not just paying for a place to sleep, you're paying for engineering, capability, and the ability to combine multiple machines into one. A truck, a home, an off-road vehicle, all integrated into a single platform. And for the right buyer, that value starts to make sense. Because this isn't for everyone. It's not for casual travel. It's not for people looking for convenience or simplicity. This is for people who want complete freedom. The kind of freedom where you don't have to think about roads or campsites or where you're going to stop for the night. The kind where your home moves with you, no matter where you decide to go. And that's really what the EMBERHORN represents. Not just luxury, not just performance, but a different way of living. Because when your vehicle can go anywhere, you don't just travel anymore. You choose how far you're willing to disappear.